Welcome to Cat and Jess Talk the Best, where we're going to be talking about IMDb's top 250 movies from April 12th, 2018. My name is Kat.
And I'm Jess.
And today we are talking about number 183, Wild Tales, which is a comedy drama thriller from 2014. This has an 8.1 on 157,217 votes. We are revealing the mystery line from It Happened One Night. The line was, "The stuff that dreams are made of." And as of today when we are recording, no one guessed it correctly. It was from The Maltese Falcon, which, like we said, we had previously on our list. So, there's that one. So we've got all of our colors back again. Orange, red, purple, light blue, dark blue, green.
Orange.
Alright, the mystery quote is, "I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way."
Yes.
Hint, hint, if you have recently subscribed to Disney Plus, this movie is on there. So make sure you take your guess on that one. That will be revealed in Into the Wild. So, the spoiler-free synopsis for our film this week. 6 short stories that explore the extremities of human behavior involving people in distress.
Yeah, that's about it.
It's about as long as each of the stories, too.
I was like, well, I mean, they get progressively longer each story. But.
Yeah.
So this is directed by Damien. I'm going to mess up this last name. Apologies. Gifron. Apologies. These are a lot of Spanish names, so I'm even going to have trouble with it because sometimes the language is a little different. He directed 2 movies besides this one, The Bottom of the Sea and On Probation. And the actors, well, there's a bunch of different actors in this movie. I just picked the top 3 build.
Yeah.
Dario Graninetti, Maria Mauro, and Monica Villa. I just picked 3. Because the different stories have different actors, so yeah, I just picked 3.
They don't repeat the actors?
No.
So, the ratings for this. On IMDb, 34.2% of users rated this at an 8. Metacritic, it has a 77. Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 94 on 153 critical reviews. 2 of the Fresh, Paul Burns. It's an explosively funny film made with great energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Sandra Hall. While the stories themselves are about the joys of losing control, their creator knows exactly what can be achieved with crafty pacing, masterly editing, and a precisely controlled balance between the matter-of-fact and the shamelessly hysterical. I don't know what joy there is of losing control, but...
Maybe watching someone lose control?
That's not the way I read it, but that's probably what she meant.
That's what I'm guessing. I don't know.
Like the only thing she could mean. So, Too Rotten, Christine Jun. Gleeful one-liners and frantic pacing aside, Wild Tales often feels less like real storytelling and more like superficial contrivances inflated by mechanized melodrama. It's a lot of big words. Robert Horton. Wild Tales is a showy exercise, and Sifron has undoubtedly punched his ticket for bigger and better things. He'll have to deliver something more than a scattering of gotchas next time. That's kind of funny.
I'm like, well, it does say in the synopsis that it's like 6 different stories.
Yeah.
It's like this person obviously did not do a little research before watching it. That's what I'm guessing.
Most of the time I just go in blind and then afterwards I'm like, oh. But that's just me. So.
Yeah. I was like, and I get to watch the trailers, so.
Yeah, I don't even really watch the trailers. The consensus: wickedly hilarious and delightfully deranged, Wild Tales is a subversive satire that doubles as a uniformly entertaining anthology film. Yeah, I can agree with that. So, the money. The budget for this film was $3.3 million. Its opening weekend, I believe in Argentina, which is where this was made and first released, it made $85,100, or whatever money they make in Argentina. Pesos, I think. The domestic income, $3,106,530. Internationally, it made $23,900,000 for a worldwide total of $27,006,530. It's a pretty good amount.
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad.
Its top lifetime gross was number 6,429. Or is, I guess. Is. So, this was nominated for an Oscar. It has 47 wins and 54 other nominations. So we're going to talk about the big three. Well, two of them are our big two. And then one of them is what seemed like Argentina's big one. So big three for what this film would be. So the Oscars, like we said, it was nominated for one, but it did not win it. It was Best Foreign Language Film of the Year. And it was beat out by Ida from Poland.
Oh, okay.
The BAFTA Awards, Best Film Not in the English Language. This one did win that. And then it won a lot of awards at the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science of Argentina.
Jeez.
It won Best Film, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress. Well, the Best Actor was Oscar Martinez. Best Actress, Erica Rivas. When we get to them in the story, we'll say who they were. Best Supporting Actor, Herman de Silva. Best Screenplay, Best Cinematography, Best Editing, Best Music, Best Sound, and I'm guessing Best Sound Design. It won a lot of awards in that Academy Awards for Argentina. That's why I figured that was the big one for Argentina.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all the awards that I want to talk about, because I'm not going to list that many awards. I don't feel like it. So, initial thoughts.
I'll go.
Okay.
So our other Spanish film we watched, well, Spanish-speaking film, it was Amores Perros. And that one was like the short stories, but they're all connected.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, I'm like, okay, maybe it's like the same thing, they're all connected. But they're not. And so it threw me off for a little bit, I will say that.
Yeah.
But this movie made me laugh like the entire time. I was just like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. This is so funny. I would just crack it up most of the time. So I really liked it. I did. And like, I will have to say, some of the special effects aren't great.
Yeah.
Especially some blood. I made a big note of that. Especially one of the stories, that blood was not looking like blood at all.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Some of the translation on mine, I just giggled because I understand Spanish better than I speak it. And so I was looking at the translation sometime, and I was like, that's not the right word. So, I don't know. Some of the translation may be lost if you don't understand Spanish, but it's funnier if you do. So that's probably why I was laughing so hard. This also reminded me a bit of like the novellas that they put on TV. Especially that last one. Oh my god, that one totally reminded me of it. So, my grandmothers always used to love watching those, so that probably made me like this movie even more. So, yeah, overall, really liked it.
I didn't really know anything going into it except for that it was 6 stories. So I thought, like you did, Amores Perros, it was going to be all connected, but they weren't, like, at all. They had nothing to do with each other. It reminded me a lot of Black Mirror and The Twilight Zone, except for those are a little bit more connected than this was.
Yeah.
There was a couple of them that I was just like, whatever, I could have done without them. But then there was the other 4 I thought were really good. So, I ranked them each individually and then came up with my total score. I also named them each.
Which should be interesting as we talk about it. Because I don't know these names. So I'm very interested to know what these names are going to be.
I also renamed the movie.
Oh, gosh.
But I enjoyed it for the most part. There was just a couple of them I was like, not really a fan of. But.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Alright, that was your warning. If you haven't watched the film yet, then stop listening and come back after you've watched it. So, I feel like my overall title was not as creative as my individual titles.
Okay.
But my overall title renaming for the movie was Everyone's Worst Day.
Oh. That's not bad.
I was like,
that's not bad at all,
most
actually.
of the people in the movie, it was their worst day.
Yeah.
So we will start with story number 1, which is about the airplane. And I renamed this one to The Butthurt Terrorist.
I mean, that sums it up, pretty much. So it starts out with this woman walking in the airport, and, she's like, asks, I didn't, at the front desk, she's like, I didn't pay for this ticket. Can I still get miles on it? I'm like, really? What a cheap ass. But, and no, they're like, no, you can't. And so she gets on gets her ticket, gets on the plane and everything. And then she starts talking with the person next to her, which is like this, older gentleman, I'd call him. And they're talking like how she's a model and everything, and he's a music critic.
Yeah.
A classical music critic. And she's talking about an old boyfriend.
Yeah.
I was like, that's important.
The thing I noticed about this is how empty this plane was. I was like, I have no idea where they're going, but I've never seen a plane this empty. I've only seen one plane that was somewhat empty once, but it was still like over half full. This one wasn't even halfway full. Like, it was so empty.
There's a reason why, though.
Yeah, I know, but I just noticed that I was like, there's something weird going on here.
So, yeah, they mentioned, what the hell is Pasternak?
Yeah, his first name's Gabriel and his last name, Pasternak, something like that. But that's what this story is actually titled.
Yeah. And he was saying that he was a classical musician, like composer and everything. And, like, the critic just, like, ripped him apart.
Yeah. And so Gabriel, we'll just call him Gabriel because it's easier than his last name.
Yeah, that's true.
He doesn't like that critic because that made him like completely quit his career and all that crap. And his ex cheated on him with one of his friends, which is the model chick.
Yes. And then the lady in front of him's like, hey, wait a minute, are you talking about the same person? Because I was his teacher.
Yeah.
And then just like more and more people just keep chiming in and saying, hey, I know that guy. I know him. It's like,
yeah, one was like his psychologist. Another one was his manager at like Home Depot or something and fired him because he wasn't good with the customers. I'm just like, that's a legitimate reason to be fired.
Yeah. And so like the critics like stands up, he's like, does everyone on this plane know who this is or have any connection? And everyone's like, yes. I'm like, oh, well, that's a problem.
Yeah. And none of them actually bought their tickets. They
No
all
one.
had all the tickets were bought for them. Some of them even tried to change the date, but it wasn't allowed. And then the flight attendant even knows this dude because he's actually a flight attendant now. Gabriel is, and he has taken over the cockpit.
Yeah, and it's she said he's the cabin chief or something on the flight, and that she had refused his advances, and so that's why she's on there too.
Yeah.
For that reason. And she's saying that he had brought coffee into the cabin and none of the pilots are answering.
Yeah, and he hasn't come back out yet.
And so this plane just starts dropping.
And they're all like trying to bang on the door, yelling at him and stuff. And I missed it at first, but like when it first started saying it, but then it popped up again. It popped up a couple times. The psychiatrist person was saying, "It's all your parents' fault. It's all your parents' fault." Stuff like that. And so my guess is that because the next thing we see is this old couple sitting in their backyard, and my insinuation is what they were trying to get at is that this was his parents.
Yeah, that's what I guessed too. Because that plane was going straight for them.
And I'm just like sitting there watching this, and I'm like, why aren't they moving? Why are they just standing there?
I mean, they might probably were pretty petrified to see a plane coming straight at them. That was my guess, frozen in fear.
Yeah.
That was my guess.
But, he crashes the plane right into his parents.
It like pauses too.
Yeah.
And then it like does the credits. I'm like, okay, what the hell just happened?
And these credits, I was just like, okay, I wasn't really paying attention at first. And then I started paying attention to it because it's animals. I'm like, okay, this is weird. But then I noticed, depending on how many names there were on the screen is how many animals that they picked.
Yep.
In the picture. I feel like that's the only significance towards these credits.
Yeah, they did that for that reason. I mean, and the movie is called Wild Tales, so I'm guessing wild animals. I don't know. It was like, that's story number 1.
Yep.
I had a count. I was like, wait a minute, where's the 6th story? It's at the beginning. This one was only like 8 minutes long.
Yeah, this one wasn't very long at all.
And then
I did enjoy this one quite a bit, though.
I did too.
This one, I guess I'll do my rankings of them at the end.
Okay.
But this one was a good way to start off the movie, I feel like.
Yeah, with a plane crash. I mean, why not? Start off with a bang.
Seriously.
And then it jumps to story number 2.
Yeah, which I renamed to Killer Cookie.
I'm glad you're keeping yourself entertained with that.
I just feel like any cook who is as disgruntled as she is that doesn't want to be a cook should be named Cookie. I don't know. There's some movie I saw that the cook's name was Cookie, and so
that's Matilda.
That's it. I was like, so that's where
I was like, that is all Matilda.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the name of it because my sick brain's just turned off. But
I got you.
Thank you. But yeah, so ever since that, Cookie is the name for any disgruntled cook.
That makes sense. It does.
So Killer Cookie.
It's like, so it's like really stormy and rainy and everything. And this truck pulls up to like this little like restaurant diner thing.
Yeah.
There's like no one in there, of course, except like the waitress and like the cook and everything.
Because it's pouring rain outside.
Yeah. And this guy walks in.
He's an asshole.
He's a complete utter asshole. And the waitress is like freaked out.
Yeah.
And she tells the cook like what the deal is, why she's so freaked out about this person. How this man is from like her hometown that she used to live in, and he was a loan shark. And her dad got into trouble with the loan shark and everything and caused her dad to kill himself.
Yep. And
keep going.
This one, the actual name for this one is Las Ratas. So I'm guessing the rat is the translation.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I figured. I know a little bit of Spanish.
You're like, poquito.
Yeah.
And so, like, the dude even tried to, like, seduce, like, her mom, like, after, like, the dad had died. I'm like, dude, what a dick. And so they had to move away from the town to get away from the guy. And then, boom, dude shows up where she's working. So, definitely know that's why she's freaking out.
Yeah. And, so the cook's like, oh, well, we'll just poison him with rat poison. And all my brain connected this to was 9 to 5. The waitress is like, no, don't put it in there. But then the cook's like, oh, whatever, I'm gonna do what I want. And she's talking about how going to prison isn't that bad, and she wouldn't mind going back to prison.
She's like, I was in there before. It's not a big deal. She's like, you got free rent, you got free food, you know, don't got to worry about anything. And she's like, are you kidding?
I don't know much about this actress. Like, this is the first time I've ever seen her, but I really like the cook.
Oh, yeah. So she reminds me of a couple of my aunts, actually. Just, like, feisty, don't give a shit, not putting up with anybody's, like, troubles. No.
Yeah.
These are definitely, like, my aunts on my dad's side. This is literally my dad's sisters. Because they would pull this shit if they could.
She's done quite a bit looking at her stuff, but nothing I've seen. A lot of TV shows. A lot of movies.
Huh.
But anyways, so waitress goes and takes rude dude's order. And then the cook is cutting it up and stuff while she's talking about jail and how she wants to go back, pretty much. And then she, food's ready, so waitress takes it out. And the cook used the poison, which the waitress figures out. And so the waitress is, like, trying to take it back.
But he's, like, being an asshole about it and, like, won't let her take it back.
Yeah. And so then his son pulls up in a bus. Like, he gets off the bus and comes inside, and he starts eating the food. So the waitress is really trying to take it away before he starts eating it.
And then the kid's like the young man's like, I'm not feeling very good. Like, his stomach's hurting and everything. It's like, oh, shit.
Yeah. But the dad's not really feeling it, my guess is, because he's probably built in a little bit of an immunity to poison, seeing as how he is a loan shark or whatever.
He's like, poison. What's new?
Yeah, pretty much. So the kid's getting sick, and the waitress is, like, trying to take the food away, and so she throws the fries at his face.
Yeah, she slaps his face with the fries. I'm like, that is a great way to slap somebody. I need to think about that next time.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny. And so he starts attacking her, and so the cook comes out to defend her and just, like, stabs the crap out of this dude.
Oh yeah, completely.
And then
kid throws up.
Yeah, kind of this big, huge, unfolding scene, and then the police are there, and they take the cook away.
And it's like, and this is the part where I was talking about, like, in before we started with the blood.
Oh, yeah.
This did not look like blood at all. It looked like chocolate syrup. Like, watered down chocolate syrup.
Yeah, kind of.
Because I'm like, blood does not look like that, and it's not that, like, thin.
Yeah, it doesn't look good at all, but I liked this one a lot, too. I still liked the first one better than this one, but I did like this one.
I mean, I like the cook in this one, you know? She
I
was
did
just
like
like
the cook.
another badass. She's like, you know what? This dude screwed you over. Fine, we're going to kill him. Like,
Yeah.
just simple.
She just doesn't even care. I did like her a lot. But I feel like the first one was just a super good way to set up the movie. And I feel like this one had some technical issues, you know, the blood and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but that's the end of that one.
It's number 2.
Yep. So then the third one.
The third one, I feel like you can, like, I can title it as Road Rage Gone Wrong.
Yeah. So the name that this one was given is El Mas Fuerte, I think. I named it Road Rage. That's just what I named it. I was like, I can't think of anything else. This one, this guy's driving his car along the highway and stuff, and there's a guy driving in the left lane, real slow. So he pulls up behind him and is riding his butt, waiting for him to get over. He's not gonna, so he just pulls around him, flips him off, and keeps going. And then he gets a flat tire.
Yeah.
And it seems like he doesn't really know how to change it at first, but he does. Because at first he, like, calls for help. Like, I guess calls his insurance company for a tow or help or whatever. But then he starts changing the tire. And then he's sitting in the car. I don't know what he's waiting for. Like, he should have just finished and went on. Like, he seemed like he was almost done putting it on. He just had to screw the lug nuts on, and then he was fine to keep going.
It's like when he got into the car because he saw that the car he had passed up coming up.
Oh, to me it seemed like he got in before that car was shown. That may just be the version I saw.
Oh.
Maybe some of the editing wasn't done the same. Because to me it seemed like he got in the car before. But, yeah, that car does pull up. And he pulls over. Well, first he, like, passes him. Oh, that was my phone. Oh, well. It's on the floor now. First he passes him, and then he stops and backs up and, like, backs all the way up and bumps the car.
Oh, yeah, and this dude is just, like, super, like the extreme road rage, pretty much. I'm like, this part was making me laugh and grossed out at the same time. So
I was just like, wow. This makes me really never want to flip anybody off ever again.
I know. Like, he's, like, gets out of his car and, like, he grabs, like, the windshield wiper, starts, like, you know, takes it off, and he grabs, like, his tool, and he starts breaking the windshield, and...
Yeah. And so, of course, the rich dude, at least I think he's rich, he has a nice kind of car, so he calls the cops and is asking for help. So, while he's doing that, the hillbilly, as he called him, decided it's bathroom break time.
Literally, and just, like, decides to take a shit and piss on his car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I don't need to see that. I did.
Yeah,
I was like,
just
I don't need to see that.
I was like, this is really funny.
It was funny, but I'm like, I don't need to see it. I don't. And so, like, after he finishes doing that and everything, the other guy, we'll call him rich guy and hillbilly guy, right? We're just calling him those names?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the hillbilly guy gets back in his car and everything. And so the rich guy decides to, because he's blocking him in a sense, he just decides to push his freaking, car into the river because they're right next to a bridge. And the river's right there. And so he just, like, pushes his car into the river and flips it over.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is not ending well.
Yep. And then so he's trying to leave. And but the hillbilly dude, like, makes it out of the smashed up car that's, like, down in the river.
He climbs out of the river and everything, and the other guy is like, he had tried to get, like, the lug nuts back on and everything and tighten them.
Yeah.
And almost. He didn't finish, though. He sees the guy, and so he's, like, starts, like, trying to, like, run him over.
Yeah, that's right. And then, but his spare tire falls off because he didn't put all the lug nuts on.
Yeah.
And so he wrecks into the other car that's already in the river.
Yeah, and he is, like, it's, like, at a, what would you say, like, a pretty awkward angle to be at. It's, like, almost straight up.
Yeah.
He's kind of stuck in the car, and, the airbag bursts and everything, and he's trying to get out, but then the other guy is climbing through the trunk of the car.
Yeah. Like, beating through the back seat to get it open. And so they're fighting and stuff and beating each other up with all kinds of stuff.
And, like, a fire extinguisher and, like, other things. And, like, the rich guy sprays a fire extinguisher in, like, the other guy's face. And they're all fighting and everything. And then the other guy, like, the rich guy manages to get his door open. But then the hillbilly guy wraps the seatbelt around the rich guy's throat and is like trying to like, strangle him.
Yeah.
I was like,
and it's starting to work.
Yeah.
So while he's being strangled, hillbilly's over there. He's torn off a piece of his shirt and put it in a gas tank and set it on fire. And rich guy's able to get untangled from the seatbelt, and he pulls the crazy guy into the car with him. Then we see the dispatch tow truck or whatever officer coming up, and then all of a sudden the explosion.
Big ol' explosion.
Yep. And then the emergency crews, and that's the end of that one.
Well, you do see what happens to them. So, like, they're looking at, like, the emergency crews and everything, like, fires out and everything. And you see these two skeletons, like, hanging onto each other.
Oh, yeah, that's right, the skeletons. I just didn't write skeletons down. But, so that's the end of that one. And then the next one is called... Yeah, number 4. It's, the name of it... The given name of it is Bombita, which is my guess, the bomb.
Yeah.
I renamed it to Parking Problems.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah. So, this is the first time we really get a name for someone.
Besides the beginning part with the boyfriend.
Yeah.
The crazy ex-boyfriend.
So, Simon is our main guy throughout this segment, and he is a demolitions expert. He's blowing up a building.
Yeah. I mean, that's how the story starts.
And then he gets done blowing up this building, and this just looked like bad CGI to me. Let's just put smoke in front of it.
It's like a demolition. So.
Yeah. After he gets done with that, he's like on the phone with his wife, and she's complaining at him or something about a birthday cake, because he says he's getting the cake and then he's going to be on his way and he's not going to be late this time.
It's like, and I'm guessing this is a pattern because she's complaining to him saying don't be late, which means he's probably late a lot.
Yeah. So he goes to the bakery and he parks his car and he goes in and gets the cake. And as he's getting the cake and stuff, we see his car getting towed. And then he has to go to the tow place with his cake. I was just like, I would have eaten the cake already, but that's just me.
Yeah. That's the inner fat kid in you talking.
It is.
I'm like, it was a pretty expensive cake, too. I was like, really? That much for a cake?
I don't know what the exchange rate is, so.
I'm like, just in like, was it, he said like some, like, it was like a couple $100 pesos. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I was like, even he was like, that's a lot for a cake. Like, yeah. I was like, really? That's a lot. But it just bothered me that. I have to say it. It just bothered me. I'm like, that cake is that expensive?
Yeah.
Cake should not be that expensive.
I don't know what the exchange rate is. But it seemed expensive, but I don't really know. It depends on the type of cake. I would have to eat the cake to know if it was expensive or not.
You're like, is it that good that I need to pay that much for it?
For real, though. Like, that's how I judge it. Like, if it's that good, then I'm okay with paying that much money. But if it's not very good, like, if it tastes like it came out of a box and I could have made it at home, all right, then. I shouldn't be paying that much money.
I mean, that's logic. It makes sense. It does. And so, yeah, he has to go get his car from the towing place. He's like, and he goes, like, has to wait in line and everything. He goes up to them. He's like, I was parked correctly. And they're like, no, you weren't. You parked in, like, a yellow space. He's like, it wasn't painted.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so they pretty much just towed his car for nothing. But they say it wasn't nothing.
Well, this first time, there was another car parked there. I don't know if somebody was sitting in the car at that point. But Like, that's why that one didn't get towed, or maybe the tow truck just happened to come by when that guy was sitting there, but I don't know. I'm just saying that he thinks he was right because there was already another car parked there because it pulled out right when he was pulling in. So that's the only defense of that part. The rest of it, there's no defense for it. Like, him yelling at this dude, like, just suck it up, pay it.
I was looking and I was like, there really isn't like no signs or anything saying that you couldn't park there. So I can see why he's like a little frustrated, but it doesn't mean you have to like chew somebody out about it.
Yeah. I would have like taken a picture of the area that I was parked in. I'd be like, hey, look, if I had thought like my car is getting towed, I would have taken a picture of the area that it was in before I went to that place and been like, hey, look. And then if he's just like, okay, well, you still have to pay the fine, and then you can go to this place and talk to them, then I would have just been like, okay, well, I'll pay this, and then I'll go to them, and then figure it out from there. But that's a logical mind. There's nothing about this entire movie that's logical, so.
I mean, it's talking about, like, people, like, having, like, bad days, so.
Yeah.
Emotion kind of kicks in first with a lot of things, I'll say that.
That's true.
So they do make him, he does still have to pay for, like, the towing and everything. He's got to go pay for a ticket, too.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then he gets stuck in traffic, of course. And so, like, he's, like, texting and everything. He's like, you know, I'm almost there. He gets text back, don't bother. Everyone's almost gone. I'm like, well, that's kind of rude.
Yeah.
I was like, I get you're angry, but you don't have to be, like, mean about it.
Yeah.
And the party is for his daughter.
Yeah, it's her birthday.
And so, like, he comes home and, like, they had just finished doing, like, you know, singing happy birthday for her and everything. And he's like, oh, here's your cake and everything, because she had, like, a little, what would you say, like I wouldn't call it a cupcake, really. It was like a little treat, kind of.
Yeah.
They just put a candle in, called it good.
Yeah.
And then, like, after everything had, like, gone, like, everyone had gone away and everything, like, him and his wife were talking in the kitchen. She's like, I'm just done with all of your excuses and everything. And, you know, it's one thing after another. And she's just, like, done with him.
Yeah. So then the next day he goes to the DMV to try and plead his case about his ticket. And the guy's like, this is how much your ticket is. You have to pay it. Like, doesn't even care. And he's like, trying to tell him this wasn't even painted yellow. And the guy's like, it says here it was. And you can't park there. So you have to pay your ticket. And so Simon gets super pissed off. And starts, like, beating on the glass.
Was it with a fire extinguisher?
Yeah. And so the DMV guy calls the security and, or no, he calls the security first because he's yelling at him, and then he starts beating on the glass.
Yeah.
And then he gets taken to jail, and someone bails him out. I guess, like, his lawyer or friend or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Business partner. I think it's maybe his business partner because he tells him that he's been let go by the company he was working for.
Yeah, because it's like his picture's been, like, all over the paper.
Yeah, for going crazy at the DMV. And then then he's in, like, this divorce meeting where they're fighting over custody of his daughter.
And, like, his wife's lawyer is just kind of just like, oh, there's too much violence and everything, and the child, you should have no custody of the child. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And, like, so trying to screw over the man for everything. I'm like, and, like, wife's like, no, I still want him to, you know, still want to share custody. And, like, the lawyer's just like, shh, I got this. I'm like, really?
Stop talking.
It's like, just stop talking. Yeah. You know, like a typical, like, a lawyer would do.
Yeah. And then we see him trying to get a different job, I'm guessing. And he gets mad because apparently the two people that he needs to talk to aren't there. And he basically tells the receptionist lady that them and the whole company can just fuck off.
Yeah. I was like, okay then.
And then his car gets towed again. And so he goes and gets his car and like pays all the fines and goes to the DMV and pays all the fines and stuff. And then he purposefully parks in a yellow spot.
Because he had put something in his trunk.
Yeah. And you can see it like glowing when he's working on it at night. And he is sitting in this little cafe watching them tow his car. Doesn't even seem to care. And then he gets towed to the car lot. And then it blows up. But miraculously, nobody was hurt. Because he knew exactly what to put into it. And how long it would take to blow up. And there's like all these news reports. Like some people are like, Simon himself is claiming it was an accident. And the prosecutor's claiming that he knew exactly what he was doing because he's a demolitions expert and blah, 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 blah. And it's just this whole big thing. And then we see him in prison. And his wife and daughter come. It's like lunchtime or whatever. And bring him a cake for his birthday. And it's all of a sudden this like miraculous thing. They're one big happy family again. And I'm just like, wait, what?
It's like, because all these people had agreed with him saying like, oh yeah, finally someone's telling these towing people what's up.
Yeah.
It's like all like the other prisoners are just like, like, woo, like, because he's got the nickname, like, like Dynamite or something like that.
Yeah. But I wasn't a big fan of this one.
Yeah, it was an okay story. It was like compared to, like the road rage right before that.
Well, this one seemed like kind of a happier ending than the other three we have had. So I'm just like,
it threw you off.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't get it. Like, is this supposed to be this way? Like, I don't understand.
You get kind of a happy ending, I guess.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of this one. And then, so the next one.
Story number 5.
Is called La Propusta?
So, like, the proposition.
Okay.
So, like,
and
pretty much what they're doing in the story.
Yeah. And this one, I named The Frame Job.
I mean, yeah.
And also, this is the one that our Best Actor award is. This is for the dad. He won the Best Actor award for this one. I believe it was him. Let me look at him real quick.
It's the dad and
the dad.
The person that they're setting the proposition up with the
Best Supporting Actor.
Yes.
So.
Oh yeah, we haven't got to her yet.
So this is number 5.
See.
So the garage starts with the garage opening and this real nice car pulling in, and then
it's like, it seems like this young man, he's like, he gets out of the car and everything, and he like wakes his mom and dad up because he's like freaked out. Because he's the one who would drive out in the car and everything. And you see on the news that it was a hit and run, that someone had hit this pregnant woman and just ran and like drove off. And so it was actually the kid, his name's Santiago. He's the one who had hit the pregnant woman and drove off. Like, oi. Like, you don't do that.
Yeah.
It's like, own up to your damn crime.
But yeah, so then he wakes his parents up and stuff. And so his parents called the lawyer. And they see on the news about the hit and run and all that. And the lawyer's like asking all kinds of questions. Like lawyery questions, really. And
then they see somebody outside who's mowing the lawn.
Yeah. And it's the gardener guy. So the dad goes and talks to him. And he's like, so if I offer you this much money, will you say that you did this?
He's like, I'll give you $500,000. Or
Yeah.
it's like, okay. It's like, if you say that you're the one who did it, you know? He's like, I just want to protect my son. I'm like, so you're paying somebody off to be the fall guy because your kid can't take responsibility for their actions and you're enabling them.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what this is.
Yeah. But then, so he agrees to it. And, they go through the process of planting the evidence, like making it all look like he's the one that did it and stuff.
Like adjusting the seat, touching like the steering wheel and all of that.
Yeah. And then we see that the police have finally kind of made their way back to this area and like figured out that this is where the car that did the hit and run was registered to. And so the prosecutor and police are making their way over here. And so they go in and they're talking. The prosecutor talks to the lawyer about like deals and stuff. And then they're kind of over in the yard talking where we can't hear them. We can just see them talking. We have no idea what they're saying. And the dad's just kind of watching them. And then the lawyer comes over and says that they came up with this deal. What was it, like $1 million?
Yeah.
2 million? 1 million?
It was $1 million.
Okay. Because it ends up being like 2 million total or something like that, right?
Close to that, I think.
Yeah, I think somewhere close. But the dad agrees and the gardener agrees and stuff. Because apparently this is a like dirty prosecutor. Because he's just going to take the money and... Or at least that's what the lawyer is insinuating, that he's going to take the money. And then so they all go, like, sit down and... Or no, they go... The prosecutor goes and inspects the car. Oh, this was before the negotiating. Sorry.
It's all good. It's like, he does go and check, like, he has, well, Gardner, his name's Jose, in this, he asked him to sit in the car and everything. He's like, so you drove this and everything, right? And he's checking the mirrors. And he's like, well, how can you see anything out of these mirrors?
Yeah.
He's like, someone taller must have been in the car. It can't be you. You know?
Yeah.
And he's like, who else is in the house? He's like, well, it's, my wife and my son. And it's like, oh, shit. It's like, prosecutor knows what's going on.
The wife and son were trying to get away before the prosecutor and police pulled up, but they weren't able to.
Nope.
So then the lawyer and the prosecutor do the negotiating and come up with the $1 million deal, supposedly. And then they go in the office and start talking, the gardener and the lawyer and prosecutor and the dad all go in the office and they're discussing it and stuff. And it just keeps, like, the money keeps adding on, and the dad's just finally like, I don't have this kind of money, so I don't know.
He's
and
like...
the prosecutor doesn't seem to know anything about the $1 million deal, and the lawyer's just like, oh, well, I kind of fibbed that part.
Yeah, and the dad's like, I'm done. And the son's, like, wanting to confess. He's like, well, you know what? Go confess then. He's like, yeah. I'm done.
Yeah. And, so the dad's gone upstairs and he's kind of pouting. So the lawyer goes upstairs and talks to the dad, and they're talking about the deal and stuff. And then they come up with a different deal.
Saying they'll all split the $1 million.
Yeah. And then, so they're taking the gardener outside.
In handcuffs.
Yep. And then we see the husband of the woman who died. And he's outside because he's figured out, that's where the person that supposedly did it was. And he sees him coming out, the gardener coming out in handcuffs. And so he starts beating him.
Yeah.
And that's the end of that one.
That's the end of that story.
And I thought this one was a little bit more interesting than the last one, but still not up to par with the first three, in my opinion.
Yeah, this one was okay.
Yeah, it was just kind of in the middle for me. I was like, it's got some good parts to it, but it wasn't as intriguing as the other ones. And then we get to number 6.
I freaking love this one.
I'm going to completely butcher the actual name of this. But the actual name of this one is Hasta que la muerte nos separe. It's probably way wrong.
I was like...
But this is where our Best Actress award winner is, Erica Rivas.
Hold up. I was like, let me help. I was like, I can help with the translation a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know what it translates to.
Uh,
Probably something about a wedding because it's about a wedding.
So it's kind of like vows. So hasta que la muerte. So like, until death and everything, It's like wedding vows.
Oh, is it until death do us part?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So the English translation, until death do us part.
Pretty much.
I should have figured that one out because I know what muerte means.
Yeah.
But yeah, Erica Rivas, she was the award winner for Best Actress for this film.
And I can see why.
Yeah, with good reason.
With very good reason. She was fantastic in this.
My name that I came up with for this one was The Wedding That Shouldn't Be.
I mean, this wedding was crazy. Like I said, this reminded me of a novella. Just this one story. I'm like, this is like an episode of a novella that my grandparents used to watch.
It really, really reminded me of like Twilight Zone and Black Mirror.
I can see that.
This one really did. But so it's a wedding and stuff. So they're all happy and everything, partying. The wife, Romina, sees the husband talking and flirting to people, or flirting with this one girl. And so she picks up the phone, and the one girl answers it that the husband was flirting with. And then the girl looks over and realizes that it was the wife calling from the husband's phone.
And she's like, shit.
Romina is the wife and Ariel is the husband. So the girl's talking to her neighbor and is like, pretend to talk to me, blah, 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 blah.
It's like, shit, just pretend you're talking to me. I don't want you knowing.
Yep.
It's like...
And then we get the first dances. And she's... Romina is questioning Ariel. Something about guitar teacher, because that phone number had called before saying something about a guitar teacher, and she's like, how do you know that person? Or because he works with her. He's like, why does she have your phone number and stuff? And just keeps questioning and tells him that she knows that he cheated. And so he just admits it.
He's like, yeah, I did. I'm like,
all this is while they're trying to do their first dance, and then the dance with the mom and the dance with the dad, and I'm just like, wow, this is a disaster.
I'm like, all right. Yeah, seriously. Novellas aren't like this.
That's how Black Mirror and Twilight Zone are. It's just disasters. There's no point in even trying to hide it. It's just gonna happen.
And yeah, so she of course she's upset, the person she just married, cheated on her.
Yeah.
So she walks away, and she's just super upset. And so Ariel's trying to go after her, but he can't find her. And she
Yeah.
ends up on the roof. And, like, looking
Yeah.
over the, like, the ledge and everything. And, like, there's this, like, cook or something up there. Like
Yeah.
smoking. And he's like,
Yeah.
you know, hey, what's wrong and everything. And she just, like, tells him and everything. And
He's comforting her, and then they start kissing because she's just like, whatever. He cheated on me. Might as well cheat on him. I'm like, that's not the solution.
literally. That's literally what she does next. I mean, like, so Ariel finally gets up to the roof and everything. He sees, like, a shoe left behind. He's like, shit, she probably jumped. And then he keeps looking, and he sees that Romina and the cook are just going at it. Literally, you know, just having sex right on top of the roof.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay then. And she just freaking just proceeds just to tell Ariel off. And I'm like, oh my God, it's beautiful.
She loses her shit.
Literally. And she's like, oh yeah, we can stay married, but I'm going to do whatever the hell I want.
Yeah.
And she's like, and I'm going to take everything away from you, like all your money and all that shit. I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful. I was like, this is what happens. Don't piss off a Spanish woman, because that's what's going to happen. They'll just go off on you.
But so they go back to the wedding. And the wife ends up confronting the girl that her husband cheated with. And they're like swinging around doing some dance or something. And she throws her into a mirror.
Oh, yeah. And she's all cut up.
Yeah. And so we get another craziness from her, like, going off on this chick. And so at this point now, the paramedics have arrived and are tending to everyone that has been hurt. And the husband's, like, trying to call off the rest of the wedding, or Ariel's trying to call off the rest of the wedding, and Romina is just like,
No.
We paid a lot of money for this. I want my hot pastrami.
Oh, my hot pastrami.
Like,
she does the cake thing
what?
and everything with the ribbons and everything. It's
Yeah.
like they pull the ribbons, and whoever gets the ring is supposed to be married next or something like that.
Yeah, kind of like a bouquet toss, but instead it's the ring.
Yeah.
But then they do the bouquet toss too, and she's like, here, and just flicks it at somebody and hits them really hard in the head.
And, like, she just, like, does not give a shit anymore. And, like, Ariel's just trying to make her to stop, and he just breaks down freaking crying. He's like, my mother told me not to do this and everything. And, of course, Mom comes up and, you know, starts comforting her sweet little son. And Ariel, and Romina's just like, no, I'm not doing it. She's like, what a freaking mama's boy and everything. She's like, here, like, tells the video, like, the videographer is like, come here. I want this videotaped. I want some pictures of this so I can watch this at my next wedding.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, yes.
And then the paramedics have come inside the hall now, and they're trying to take care of everybody in there. Because they were out in the entryway, but now they're in the, like, dining area where they had the the reception. And Ariel's just like, get off of me. He gets up and he goes and walks away, and you think he's just done, and he's, like, left. But then you hear, like, this gunshot sound, and the camera turns to him, and it was actually he had opened a bottle of champagne.
Drinking straight from the champagne, too.
Yeah, he's like, I paid for it, might as well drink it. I'm like, well, you're not wrong.
So, yeah, he's drinking the champagne, and he grabs, like, this knife, and they're like, what is he gonna do? But then he goes to the cake and just, like, cuts a slice of it and just eats it. And they're like, does this dude, like, totally just lost his shit, too?
Yeah.
And then he, like, offers his hand to Romina, and she's like, I don't know. But then she takes it anyways, and then they start dancing.
Yep. And then they start kissing, and then they end up on the cake table and start going at it, and everybody starts leaving because they're like, this is awkward.
They're like, this is the weirdest wedding I've ever been to.
I've been to a few weddings. I've had my own wedding. I've seen a lot of weddings on TV, and this is by far the craziest thing I have ever seen for a wedding.
Oh, it sounds like fun though. I will say that.
Yeah,
Great
if you're not one
stories.
of, like, if you're not the husband or wife, this sounds like super entertaining.
Hell yeah, this is a great story. It's like, this one wedding I went to, oh my god, you gotta hear about it. And it's like, yeah, the guests will leave, and that's pretty much the end of the movie.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
That's story number 6.
So, the music for this is by Gustavo Santaolalla, something like that. I butchered it last time. I butchered it this time. We had him before with Morris Peros, so we are not going to talk about him again. I will talk about the music, though. It was very subtle, I think.
Yeah, there wasn't much.
But what there was good, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But nothing really sticks out as like, oh my god, wow, that's the best thing ever. So there's not really anything to compare this to. I mean, we kind of compared it to Amores Perros. We kind of compared it to the novellas like you were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Black Mirror, Twilight Zone, stuff like that. It's really just a collection of shorts is all it is.
And one
The
2-hour
one
movie.
being, the shortest one being 10 minutes, the longest one being 45 minutes. But yeah, so trivia. I do have one trivia.
Go ahead.
There is going to be a sequel called More Tales, More Wild.
Really?
Yes, because this is one of the highest grossing films in Argentina.
Wow.
So they're going to do another one.
I'd be interested to watch it.
Yeah, I would probably watch it too.
I was like, well, because in the original screenplay, it's saying that there's a 7th story that they didn't do with this movie.
Okay, that's where I was confused, because somewhere I had seen something about 7 stories, so I started counting, I got to 5, and then it got to the wedding, and then the wedding was over, and I was like, wait, that's the end? I was expecting one more story.
Yeah, there's one more. Like, it was in the original screenplay, but they cut it. It was shorter than all the other stories, actually, so it's probably why they didn't do it. It's called bonus track. So that bridge where they shot the one where the road rage guys had,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's an actual, like, you could it's an actual bridge they actually shot on site and everything there. And it's like how he mentioned it's on between like these two cities. That's literally where that bridge is between those two cities, which I think is pretty cool.
Two that he was saying?
Yeah, like Cafayette and Salta. That's what he mentioned in this when he was calling. He's like, I'm between these two cities. I'm like, that's literally where that bridge is. You can look it up on Google and everything.
Okay.
Which I think is cool. It's only 8 weeks they shot this film. I can see why. It's only 8 weeks long.
Yeah.
You do actually, in the very first story, you do actually get to see Gabriel, but you don't get to see him. It's like quick. It's super quick when you see him, actually. It's like you don't think you see him, but he's actually in the movie.
That's cool. Where it has been on the list before. This came out in 2014, so it was not on the 2010 or the 2012 list. And it was not on the 2014 list either. Probably because it didn't have enough votes yet. Because you have to have a specific amount of votes to get onto the list. And this came out August 21st in Argentina, so it probably took a while to get to America to get enough votes. Well, America and probably India, because those are the ones that usually tend to be the highest interacting on IMDb. So that's probably why it wasn't on the 2014 list. But the 2016 list, it was number 196. 2018 list, it was number 181. And as of today, when we are recording, it is number 184. So it just went down 1.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah. Previously, number 183 was Diabolique. 2010 list, Diabolique from 1955, which we had previously. 2012 list, Mary and Max from 2009, which is coming up for us. The 2014 list, Stand By Me from 1986, which is one we had previously. The 2016 list, Life of Brian from 1979, which is actually next for us. And then the 2018 list, Roma, which was one of the nominees for Best Foreign Film at the Oscars this year.
Yeah.
And then as of today when we are recording, Tokyo Story from 1953, which is coming up. So for our podcast, this is the third film that we've had from 2014. The very first one we had was PK, our very first movie from 2014. And then The Grand Budapest Hotel was the other one. So
And all three.
I think it's in some pretty good company.
I was like, I would agree with that completely. It's in great company.
And then this is the second film that we have had that is in Spanish, like you said earlier. And as of right now, from what we have done so far, this is the only one that has about 155,000 votes. It's about 15,000 ahead of In the Name of the Father and about 30,000 behind Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Those are the two closest to it.
Those are they're completely different movies too.
Yeah.
Like all three of them are.
Yeah.
Huh. Weird. Okay.
But yeah, that's that. So, favorite line?
It was hard. I was mostly just like cracking up laughing, so I didn't write down really like any lines. I wrote down one kind of.
Yeah, I wrote down 4.
Okay, good. So the one I would love to write down like her entire rant, Ramina's rant at the end.
Yeah.
But I was laughing at it so much that I didn't write it down. But it was hilarious. If I could write it down, I would have put that as one of my quotes. The one I have is from The Wedding Story is, if you worry about what people say, it's like you're going to have like trouble or something like that.
Oh, okay. The ones I wrote down, I had 2 from Killer Cookie and then 2 from Parking Problems. There wasn't really much in any of the other ones. I mean, besides her rant. But I'm not going to find that and make that the line because it's too long.
It was like just one of those one-liners in there. That would have been great. But I was just cracking up at it so much. I was like, oh my God, this is great. I forgot to write it down.
Yeah. So, the ones I have are, I see you're good at math. I just started cracking up. I was like, wow, that's really mean, but also really sarcastic. And I thought it was super funny. Bastards rule the world. Because you're not wrong.
No.
I don't like your tone. That's from Parking Problems. And then, you're the engineer, do the math. That's another one of those sarcastic ones that I was like, yep.
Me personally, out of yours, I like the Bastards one.
Bastards rule the world.
I mean, it fits for this movie, too.
As soon as I wrote it down, I was like, that's gonna be it. I know it.
It fits. It does.
It does. So, what is your rating?
I'm giving this a solid 8. It's an 8 for me.
Okay.
Again, I don't know what it is. Maybe because I understand Spanish pretty well, I'll say. That it makes it funnier for me. Because then I just crack up at the translations. And I I can focus more on the story and not be so drawn back on the language barrier, which is nice. I said, like, pretty much most of the stories I loved most of them. I will say the 2, 4 and 5 were not, the best out of them, but the wedding one made it up for the previous 2. I will say that, for me. Because I said, reminds me of the novellas. And those always cracked me up too, because they're just like so just like dramatic and just like obscure and like just like this movie. So that's probably where they got a lot of inspiration for this. Gotta take some. It's not at 10 or a 9 for me, because again, the special effects. I'll say some of the special effects weren't great, and those two, 4 and 5, kind of just drawn it down just a little bit for me.
Yeah.
But I did like the concept. I did.
Yeah.
Like the 6 stories, they don't connect to each other. Like I said earlier, that threw me off a little bit, but I got over it. I was like, okay, I can do this. It's fine. This actually makes it easier too to talk about, since there's just short stories, instead of having to talk about an entire movie that's 2 hours long.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like this concept. Like you said there's going to be another one, so I would definitely watch that one.
Yeah.
When it comes out and I can get access to it in the US.
Yeah.
So yeah, solid 8 for me.
Okay. So for me, I ranked them individually and then just added them all together and averaged it out for mine. So overall, this has an 8 for me. A lot of the same reasons. Story 4 and 5 weren't quite what I would want them to be. I wasn't as entertained as the other 4 stories. Some of the effects weren't too great. But the Butthurt Terrorist, I gave that one a 9, because it's just like, it really starts it off and sets the tone for the whole movie. And I think it's a really great way to start something.
Oh, yeah.
And I also like the length of it, because I feel like I got all the background information I needed. And I didn't need anything else. So, I liked that one. Killer Cookie, I rated it at an 8, just because of some of the effects in that one. Road Rage was a 9 as well, because I thought that one was hilarious. Parking Problems, I gave a 3, because I was kind of bored for that one. Like, I wasn't really interested in it until the bomb went off, and then, like, the end bomb at the parking garage, and then after that, it just kind of had a weird ending that I wasn't expecting, so I was just like, no. And then The Frame Job, I gave that one a 5, because it was just kind of there in the middle. It had some interesting parts, but then other parts were just kind of meh. And then The Wedding That Shouldn't Be, I gave an 8, just because, like, I loved Romina. She was great. But then it's also kind of that same thing I've seen a lot with weddings in movies and stuff. It's always, oh, the husband cheated. So I didn't think that it was that original of a story. I just thought that the ending and her freaking out that way was super original, and I liked that part about it. So altogether, that came up to an 8 for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's like, so we're agreeing on this one, actually, pretty much.
Yeah.
Nice. This has happened too often lately.
Yeah, not lately. So, our next film is Life of Brian, which is a Monty Python film from 1979.
Yes!
And our next event coming out is our holiday event. It'll be coming out the end of this month, and it will be Babes in Toyland from 1986 and Krampus from 2015 for me.
And I picked Santa Claus is Coming to Town from 1970 and The Nightmare Before Christmas from 1993.
So that will be out at the towards the end of the month there. And so we are offering premium, and I have started a Patreon. Both of these are just so we can pay for the website. Like, any money that goes towards Patreon or premium just goes towards us paying for the website. For $1 a month on either of them, you will get unedited episodes, early release episodes, and bonus episodes. For $5 a month, you will get all of that, plus a patron-only chat forum or premium-only chat forum. polls and voting on patron-only episodes. So like our monthly special episodes, you can start voting on them. You can join us for a movie of your choice every 50 movies. So that is all of that for $5 a month. And then for $10 a month, we'll do live stream Q&As once a month as soon as we figure out how to.
Yeah, that's
and
the issue.
If we have anybody at that tier. Fan recognition. We'll give you a huge shout out. Broadcast your social media wherever you would like for it to be broadcasted. If you have social media. If not, and you don't want to be recognized, that's fine. And then you can also pick a movie of your choice every 25 movies, or you can join us for an event every time we have said event. And then also everything else in the other tiers. So, premium, you just go to our website, and then Patreon, the link will be in the show notes if you want to do either of those. Our special monthly episode for December is going to be the Golden Globe predictions. Because it's just a few days and those will be out. The nominations will be out, so we'll be able to guess what we think's going to win. So you can find us everywhere, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can interact with us. You can email us. All of the links are in the show notes. The link to the website's in the show notes. You can find our show everywhere. And we would appreciate it if you would share the show with your friends. That helps out a lot. Also, if you could leave ratings and reviews, that would help as well. Helps us know what's going well and what's not going very well. Like what we need to change and stuff. Our music is by Audio Binger, and you can find him on Facebook, YouTube, and his website, audiobinger.net. Thank you all so much for listening. We really do appreciate it. And until next time, with Life of Brian. Bye.
Bye.